it could make a difference on what software that you use. So we just have to start where you are, figure out what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, and then we'll go through a string of those tools and say, okay, these are what's best for you.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. Hi and welcome to the My Future Business Show. My name's Nuske and I'm back with an amazing guest. Her name's Melissa Ambers of PaperLessExpert.com. How are you, Melissa?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well. I have 2 feet and a heartbeat. I cannot complain. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on. I'm just glad that you was able to give me this opportunity to be a part of your show.
No, it's absolutely my pleasure. Look, what we normally do, Melissa, is give you the opportunity to share a little bit about yourself outside of the work sphere. So, let us know a little bit about you.
Well, Melissa is pretty much just that person that doesn't do a lot. I'm a homebody.
Mm-hmm.
I go out every so often to have a little fun, but for the most part, I'm a homebody, just working and trying to build a business.
Yep. And how long have you been building a business for?
I've been building a business for about 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
and about I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I did some rebranding and changing some things around, and
Mm-hmm.
pretty much just we had to go back to that drawing board and redo some things. So I've done that and just started over on a lot of things, and from there, became a paperless expert,
Mm-hmm.
and that was born because not only am I known as the gadget girl, but I'm the one that's always finding solutions to all type of business, problems. Time management. I'm a big fan of making sure that you spend your time wisely, not, doing something that could be prevented,
Yeah.
decreasing costs, not spending money where it needs to be, not spent. So I'm always looking at apps, various online tools. I download them, I play around with them, see what's good, what's not good, and I share them with clients. And from there, it's just, just keep evolving,
So,
as time passes.
are we talking about like improving efficiencies in businesses? Is that the focus?
Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely.
It's one of those things that in the corporate world we can certainly get tied up in, making things complex. Humans are very good at that, aren't they?
Oh yeah, very good. Yeah, it's that thing of if I seem like I'm busy, that means that I'm successful, and that's not always the
Yeah,
case.
that's true. That is absolutely true. So, with your background and having had your experiences in many different processes, what are some of the main things that somebody who hasn't really thought about this, what are some of the things that they could start doing straight away to improve their efficiencies?
The first thing I always tell somebody is use what's directly in front of you.
Hmm.
Everyone has smartphones. We have the tablets, iPads, laptops. Use what's in front of you. And we all have them, but we don't use them to their best of their ability because basically it's just a mini computer is what it is.
Hmm.
And, I tell everyone, with note taking, prime example, everyone takes notes for a variety of different reasons, whether you're in meetings or just to remind yourself of things or just jotting down a checklist of tasks that you may need to do. There's a free tool out that's called Evernote. So many people I talk to, oh yeah, I have Evernote, I have an account, but I don't use it. So I'm like, well, what you mean you don't use it? Oh yeah, I set it up, but I don't use it. So once I go through and I, explain to them of how they could create their own notebooks, create the notes, how you could email into Evernote, set up reminders, record. And once I go through that training of showing them what they can do and how beneficial it can be to their everyday life, and especially um, entrepreneurs that have families. You know, you're on the run with the kids or husbands, and you have all these different things to do,
Hmm.
and you can easily forget about something or just out of habit think, okay, yeah, I did do a certain thing, and but you really didn't because just out of habit you thought you did it, but you didn't. And you
Mm.
could create checklists and be able to open it and check it off. And the beauty with Evernote, one of many tools that's out there, is you can open it on every single device that you have.
So it's
You
cross
just have
cross
to be
platforms.
sure, right? Absolutely. You just have to be sure you log into the same account on every single device that you have.
Right.
The other thing that I run into is they may have Evernote but have three accounts, and one account on the phone, one account on the tablet, one account on their laptop, and oh, I can never get my items to sync. I can never see them. This is why.
This is
So,
why. This is why. I
right. So we're gonna
historically
log
I
off of two.
I
Right.
historically remember you brought back some horrific memories of my days of having yellow post-it notes everywhere.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I think there was a video I saw recently, in fact, that talked a little bit about the overwhelming amount of choice we have in our lives for our professional choices. And I think if you relate it back to tools to make more things more efficient, we could also apply it to that. And I wonder, what are your top 3 or 5 apps out there? Evernote would be one of them. Are there others?
Absolutely. Of course, Evernote is one of them. There's also another note-taking app. I put this on the same level with Evernote. It's called Note Taking, and I use that on my iPad because you can actually write with your stylus or either your iPen if you have one.
Mm-hmm.
Write just like it's a notebook for those that just like that feel of writing. Um, Podio is one of them. That is a project management tool. I use that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say project management, so many believe, okay, well, I don't have a project, so I don't need a project management tool. Anything you have that you have to do a checklist, you have to go back and forth with documents, you have to collaborate with anybody, consider that a project because that way it can all be in one location. You don't have to constantly search through emails and do a whole bunch of back and forth. It's right there in front of you. It integrates with Google, so Google Docs. All of that can be in one location, and anything that you're working on is there. The next one would be Insightly. And Insightly is a CRM tool, and that's customer relationship management. So as you get business cards, you can scan them into Insightly if you have that paid account. But on the free accounts, you're limited to I want to believe 5 scans a month for business cards. And when you scan them, it goes through that and it actually lays out everything where it needs to be. It puts the name, the address, phone number, everything where it needs to be. So it does more than just take a picture of your business card. And you can put reminders in there. You can monitor your leads, your opportunities. You could turn your contacts into a lead. You could set up template emails to welcome in new clients or just do follow-ups when you go to a networking event or someone that you've met at a meeting or something like that. You can have all of that in that one location. So I would say those are my top three
Yep.
picks that I use.
Yeah. In today's day and age, with this, I guess, this massive tidal wave of information, and I don't know about anybody else, but I have a very busy mind, and
Yeah.
being able to distill the information that's important to you and prioritize it for you is very important. Do you find a lot of people that you work with are overwhelmed by the amount of choice?
Yes. And the reason that they're overwhelmed is, we all have, friends, family, colleagues, and the internet, to
Mm.
where we do these searches or they're referred to you. Use this app. This app is good for me. This tool is better for me. This app is good for me. And before we know it, we have all of these apps downloaded on our devices that we've played with and we didn't quite like it, but we never deleted it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still sitting there, just there for that's part of our picture on the wall. And when you, for instance, like a project management tool, is, oh well, I've used Basecamp, or Podio's too hard for me, or they may come up with other. I mean, it's so many out there. Okay, and my recommendation to anyone is, if you've downloaded and you've played with it, you tinker with it, and you truly gave it a good try, if it's not for you, delete it off of your device. So
Mm.
one, it won't take up space, and it's not constantly in front of you, and that's a distraction.
Yeah, that's some
So
sage
let's
advice, isn't
find
it?
what yeah. So let's find what works for you. And, I tell anybody, just because I use it, it may not be better for your business. So depending on what you're doing, how many you have on your team, and how often you do collaborations, it could make a difference on what software that you use. So we just have to start where you are, figure out what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it. And then we'll go through a string of those tools and say, okay, these are what's best for you. But what I always do when I'm working with my clients is I try my best to recommend solutions that'll work across all platforms.
Mm. Mm.
So you don't have to be, set where I have to be at a computer or I have to be at a laptop. Always be sure that it goes across everything. So we always carry our phones with us. We may not have our tablet or our laptop. So if you just, unexpectedly get called at a meeting or bump into somebody, y'all, decide to sit down and have a discussion, you're still able to access your information, including your documents.
Mm.
A lot of people use Secure Sync or Dropbox because those are your familiar. I'm sorry, not Secure Sync, but Dropbox and Google Docs.
Yep.
Those are the ones that a lot of people are familiar with. Secure Sync is one that I use, and it's pretty much the same thing, but that was my option to go with Secure Sync,
Yep.
and it does the same thing where I have an app on my phone and it's on all of my devices. So regardless of where I am, even if I'm not expected to have a document with me or email a document to someone, but throughout that discussion, anything can happen, and it's like, okay, I do have that. Hold on, here it is, and you can shoot it right over, and okay, let me make a note so when I get back to my office, or let me make a note to call my assistant, or, so one is giving you an extra task that you have to do, and remember to do it and get it done. So if you have these tools and all of your devices set up properly, it's called being reliable,
Yeah.
independent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about what you're sharing with our audience, and thank you so much. I think about if does this remove the need to have some structure on your local PC or Mac, or do we still need to consider how we manage our files locally as well?
What your files is, that's huge. I'm glad you brought that up. One of the things that I run into all the time is we do not take that extra half a minute or a minute to save documents where they need to be saved.
Mm-hmm.
We're very quick to just say, let me click save, and that document ends up in my documents on your desktop, in somebody else's folder, or it's just somewhere, and you always have to search to find your documents. So while you're taking the time, you're spending, I'm going to say 3 to 6 minutes searching for a document. I know it's on here somewhere. Let me
Yep.
search. I can
I've been
find it.
there.
Instead of taking, that little moment to say, okay, let me create me some folders and subfolders. And everybody, I don't care who it is, much as they may say that they don't have a need for it, you have to create your umbrella folder.
Yep.
And when I say your umbrella folder, that could simply be your company's name. And in your company's name, that's when you start creating your drill down and start doing all these other things. So for an example, a drill down can be company ABC. That's your umbrella. That's your company's name. Up under that, you have another folder called clients. And then in that client folder, you have client 1, client 2, client 3, client 4. And within those folders, you have those client documents. So if there's agreements, you'll create an agreement folder. Save agreements there. If it's pictures, you create a picture folder, save your pictures there. So now when client 2 call you and say, hey, can you shoot me a quick copy of that agreement that I electronically signed, you can say absolutely, because you know exactly where to go to get that. And then you don't have to search and poke around looking for documents, looking for the agreement. You could go straight to that client, their agreements, and shoot it straight over to them.
This
Not a problem.
this is one of those self-discipline things, isn't it? Really, I mean, we have to. It's one thing to know how to be efficient, but it's another thing to altogether to change our behavior.
It is, and it's that change is one of the things that so many of us have a hard time doing or don't want to do. And what I would tell the clients that I work with, and let me just be realistic. Sometimes they do get frustrated. They do want to back off, and they will fight me along the way.
Huh.
But eventually what happens is once we go through that and they see the process, they see the efficiency, they see the change in time management, that light bulb goes off and it's like, oh, I should have been doing this years ago.
There's something in it.
Right.
Mm.
So, and then okay, now that we're through that, and then they'll flash back, I can't believe, I was fighting you through this process. I didn't like it. You coming in trying to change my business, but I didn't realize these are some of the things that you were telling me because I was so used to my habit and I was so used to the current process that I currently had.
And that's the thing
So now,
for everybody who's listening.
right.
I'd just like to add, for everybody who's listening, if you are resisting change, and that's the big thing to recognize as a human being, if you are resisting change, let's step back a little bit and just consider, if I make this change, it might be painful short term, but what are the longer term benefits for me as a business owner or somebody who's just trying to improve my local computer?
Mm-hmm.
So, it
Correct.
seems very worthwhile doing.
Absolutely. And this goes, with anything that you're doing, while we're mentioning, decreasing cost and saving time,
Hmm.
is with your agreements. Have you a system to where you can use get electronic signatures? It should be no more traveling just to get a signature on a contract. No more traveling just to pick up a check or receive payment for one of your services or products. All of that should be cut. And legal signatures for those that's kind of hesitant on it. Electronic signatures are still considered legal.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if something happened and you had to go to court with something, that is still considered a legal document, even though it's electronically signed.
I mean, because there's a lot of software out there, Amazon Secure Sign or something like that. There's a lot of those out there nowadays, isn't there?
Hmm.
So,
It is. And one of my preferences would be Proposify. And that I love Proposify because not only are you able to set up your contracts in Proposify,
hmm,
but it integrates with Insightly, which I mentioned earlier. It's a CRM tool, and it integrates with Podio. So I can set it up to where once I get that contract signed, it'll automatically start their project in Podio for me. So now all I have to do is go in Podio, add in a few extra, lines, and then start lining all of my tasks and assigning tasks, putting dates on them.
hmm.
So and then with Proposify as well, depending on what type of service or products that you have, you can create, if you have a mini commercial or want to do a video or something, you can add a video in your contract. You can add images in your contract. And the beauty about Proposify is, depending on your client, sometimes you have to adjust your agreements based on services or terms. And instead of you going in, for instance, a Word document, highlighting, deleting, adding, you could create templates. So you could specifically say a template for this particular services will include this, a service for this, or confidentiality. So when you're in Proposify, it's just a matter of going into your template library and just say, add this, add this, add this, put a signature on it, and you're done. That's how quick you could do a contract in Proposify. Once it's set up, so again, is that setup process that's going to take time that so many are resistant to do because it's taking time.
Yeah.
So up front, it's like, well, it's not saving me time. It's taking me too much time to do it. It's taking me too much time. Absolutely. Anytime you're starting something new, you have to fill in the blanks.
Yep.
And that's what filling the blanks is. So once you do that and it's set up, then you will start seeing the fruits of your labor.
Yeah, of course. I'm looking at your wonderful book cover. I love the look of it. Set Yourself Apart. Is this the
Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Is this the culmination of all of your work so far?
Yes. This is the first book. And I laid out, I didn't put everything in here because there's so much, but, I laid out some of the things that I do, why I do it, when you're setting up your contracts. And this book is not only for entrepreneurs, it's for anyone that's working in corporate America or working with some other type of organization, because you can use this in your business as well. So those assistants that want to stand out from the rest and stand out to show, okay, this is who I am, this is why I should be here. And when you go in for those promotions and raises and things like that, this book will offer you some of those tips and tools. It'll tell you about some of the tools that you could use, why you should use them, when you're in departments. I even have a section in here, sometimes it's okay to say no.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't get so stuck in saying yes all the time because, I have to do what they say. If it's not right, say no. Let's try this. Here are some tools. This is why. But you have to be able to have that why prepared.
Mm.
You can't just say we're going to do it just because. You have to have the why. And then from there, it'll go across your department. And then that CEO or supervisor, whoever it is that you report to, they will be thankful to say, okay, now we're working more efficiently. Now we're able to get more things done. We're boosting productivity now.
Yeah.
So now they can see that's their ROI. That's their return of investment right there, bringing you on board.
Yeah, so whoever's listening to this call today, this is one of those resources that will help you become more efficient, help you save your boss's time, thus his money or her money. So I'm sure that getting your hand on this book is going to put you in favour with your boss, your upline, or whoever it is that you potentially report to. And outside of that, Melissa, like you say, we could use it in our private life as well. So where will we find this particular book if we want to get our hands on it?
It is on Amazon.com.
Excellent.
You can go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million.
Mm-hmm.
It's on all of the platforms.
And if people want to reach out to you, start working with you, where do they go?
They can go to my website, which is www.paperlessexpert.com. Or they could send me an email at Melissa, MELISSA, at paperlessexpert.com.
I've been frantically writing down all of these software services that you've mentioned throughout the call. Very insightful stuff. It's been very, very enjoyable learning a little bit more about the technology, the processes, how to become more efficient. And thanks again for coming onto the My Future Business show today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward, maybe we can do this again and get a little bit more in depth on one of the tools and let your listeners know, here are some steps on how to get in and start your setup.
That sounds like a great idea. So again, if you're listening to this call and you have some questions about a particular software service that you'd like us to talk about, just reach out to me at myfuturebusiness.com/contact. But if you want to contact Melissa, go to paperlessexpert.com.
Absolutely.
It's been fun having you on the call with us today. Now click on that big red subscribe button and make sure you leave us a comment, share us with your friends, and join the growing list of leading entrepreneurs who have enjoyed their time on the show at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews.